Let's go then. Last one before our summer break.
You're not catching me out this time.
Hello and
I
welcome
was watching the recording.
to. Hello and welcome to It's in the Genes podcast, a podcast by the Digital Gene. My name is Declan.
And I'm Sharon.
And we're a mum and son duo and directors from the Digital Gene. Today we'll be discussing, as well as what we've been up to, Twitter fleet, billionaires, the billionaire space race, remote roles on the rise across the UK, the global chip shortage, how most small business owners are middle-aged, not cool kids, how Gen Z feel pressured to get beach summer body ready, and the Norwegian women's handball team have been fined, and we'll discuss for what reason they've been fined for. I'm going to leave out the business bit section because we've got that much to discuss. We won't get to that again today. I think that's probably going to be a section moving forward for if we've got a bit of a dry news couple of weeks.
Oh, you mean as if we were going to be recording in the summer? Well, actually, it's the summer now, isn't it? But we've decided we're going to have a summer hiatus, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Yeah, we're doing what all the media outlets do, aren't we?
Yeah, we're doing what all the cool kids do.
I already feel like, I mean, some kids have broken up and some of them are breaking up this week. It already feels a bit like, I know this is probably psychological, but when you send an email, it feels like there's nobody there. I always think the summer's like that. It's like people have disappeared. Totally.
I do think they do, and even though people aren't disappearing abroad this year, well, not very many of them. I do feel as if people will virtually disappear.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Go off into the gardens or just literally switch off because so many people have kids to look after, don't they?
They do. So yeah, we've got that out the way. We will be taking a summer break. We're going to record our first episode back as long as Mum doesn't book any holidays in, which I don't know if she is. Probably on Thursday, the 2nd of September. So we'll be back week commencing the 6th of September with a new episode after this.
Oh, is
one,
that a
of course.
Thursday, the 6th of September?
Yeah. No, that's the week it'll go out. We'll record on the 2nd.
Oh, we'll record on the 2nd, okay.
But obviously
Keep
the
me
last
right.
episode was recorded between the Euro 2020 semi-final and final. So when it went out, it was a bit sad to listen to. We all watched it together as a family, and it does feel like it happened a long time ago now, even though it's only been a couple of weeks.
Is
But
it 2 weeks? Is it 2 weeks this coming up? It's not quite 2 weeks yet.
yeah, it'll be 2 weeks this coming
It
Sunday
feels
since
about a
the
month ago.
final.
If somebody asked me, I'd feel as if I
Yeah.
would say, "Oh yeah, it was a month ago." Yeah, I mean, as you know, I'm not, and we said lots on the last episode, I'm not really into football per se, but I do like matches like that, and specifically, I seem to get behind that one because we said, didn't we? We felt as if the country had something to really get behind collectively. So yeah, it was sad. It was sad,
The day after
and
was one of those
oh,
days,
that
yeah,
that
where
shit
I always.
afterwards with all the racism was just.
Yeah, it was one of the very ever so often with social media and constant news cycle. I get days where the news just seems a bit shit and overwhelming, and that was one of those days where it just felt rubbish. It was just like it just has shown awful sides of people. And I was discussing with one of my contacts. I didn't even twig that 3 black players had missed the penalties. And I know that I'm not saying I don't see colour because that's a problematic thing to say. You see it and recognise it. But yeah, it hadn't even gone through my head. And then people were tweeting saying, "Oh, it won't be long till the racist abuse starts." And then lo and behold, it started. So
Yeah, it's funny how you sort of wonder if if the people behind those racist comments, can you believe that they were actually sat watching the match thinking that about those young lads?
They probably weren't in the glory. It's when it goes bad that they
It's when
go.
everything goes bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Um,
that's that's sort of like traditionally how things do go to ratchet generally, isn't it? When something's bad, you can when you talk about the economy being
yeah.
going through a bad time, that's when awful things happen in all the other aspects of life, isn't it?
Well, people
Um,
look for the other to blame for the
yeah.
situation that they're going through.
Mm.
Are you taking a photo of us?
I am.
All right, just warn me.
Just warn you.
We're recording. This is really good audio for people who are listening, by the way. Why did you do it now?
I just didn't think you'd take much notice, to be honest.
I
That's the
just saw
weird.
this phone just come up onto the camera,
And
but I was like,
that's the weird thing that I'm still trying to get my head around is that obviously you've started recording it to put it on YouTube. And I shared in a group earlier on Facebook that we're in, to get a little bit of feedback. I find it bizarre that people thought the whole thing about podcasts was that people listen to them,
they are, but
um,
the loads of podcasts I listen to now,
record them as
they
well.
also do well, yeah, it's basically so what we're doing, you can get little viral clips to make content. I mean, there's going to be an advert in this podcast about your blog post that you've written about repurposing blog content. So it's just the same thing, really. Um,
Okay.
so we've
Well,
got
I've
some
got
videos
to I've got
to
to
talk
bow to
about.
you, Declan, on this because you're in charge of this. So,
Well, I know I've discussed him before, but Stephen Bartlett's podcast, they record it. Um, a
well,
podcast
if Stephen
I've
Bartlett does
started
it,
listening to a podcast from the two actors who played Merry and Pippin in Lord of the Rings, and they record it on YouTube. So if they can all do it, so can we. So
so
yeah, that's a
then
little plug.
do you think
You can also watch these episodes if you want on our Digital
so? Do you
Gene
think
YouTube.
then will there ever come a time where we'll switch completely to recording something on YouTube and maybe then pushing it out as a podcast the other way on, or will it always be this way on?
I'm not really thinking about it in
You
any
don't think about
great
that,
detail, to be
okay?
honest. No, and
No, it just
obviously
just sometimes
we also
things go
had
through my mind.
Freedom Day, and on this Monday, seeing the videos, I have never felt more conflicted, and I touched on it before in the last episode. The Every time they've released restrictions before, it's because cases have been going down or were really low, but they're not. Um, So it did feel strange to see all these people all in a club. Leeds was on BBC News. Did you see it at all on the morning?
No.
Um, they interviewed a local drag queen at 9 a.m. who'd obviously been up all night, just saying what it had been like. So yeah, it's.
I can't. I didn't feel like free.
I am going clubbing this Saturday though.
Are you?
Yeah,
Didn't feel like Freedom Day to me.
can't wait to cough on Saturday Sunday.
Oh, nice.
Well,
Yeah,
I've got my vaccine, so it should do. And even if I did get it, it should be fairly minor. Touch wood, fingers crossed these days.
fingers
But
crossed. You would hope because there are stories. Could you have got a bigger glass, Declan?
no.
Actually covered your face there. Um, I've heard stories of people, having a bad time with it, regardless of being double jabbed, or no matter how old they are. Yeah.
Mm. But we're
Oh,
now obviously dealing with the pingdemic.
oh, I
I
know.
love how the media frame all these words and come up with them. But obviously, the record last week that I think it was 650,000 people were asked to self isolate last week. But that's gonna if you open up, you're gonna come into contact with people with COVID, aren't you? So,
Well, as you know,
um,
we isolated before we came. We got the ping the week before the footy match,
yeah,
and leading up to coming to watch the match with you, we'd been isolating as a family, uh, and we think that ping came from the restaurant that we were in when you actually came up north home. when we went out on the 1st of July with your brother for his birthday. But I didn't see that.
I haven't deleted my app. But places aren't asking you to check in anymore.
Oh, aren't they?
No.
Haven't been out this week.
So I
Haven't
think
been
it's up
out
to
this week, so I don't
so
know.
the only way you get a ping is obviously due to Bluetooth. But I'm testing 2 or 3 times a week anyway. So
Yeah, I mean, the couple of times that, well, actually, that week I was very sort of curious as to being pinged to stay in, and have I got it unbeknownst because I've been double jabbed and I've got it, but I'm not experiencing any real symptoms. Then I thought I'd lost my taste for a day or so.
of course you
So,
did.
but that, you think that's all psychological, isn't it? Because you've been
Yeah.
pinged to stay in. I
Yeah.
was speaking to somebody this morning who, didn't feel very well, so and thought they'd lost the taste, and so had done a test and it was negative, and it's just, and it plays with your mind as well, doesn't it?
It
Um,
does. It does.
so
Look,
yeah, it's a bit
they
bizarre.
are obviously meant to be dropping on the 16th of August that you have to isolate if you're double jabbed anyway.
Well, the worst thing,
Um
anyways, we were just chatting. We both commented on a post on LinkedIn just before we jumped on here, didn't we? Jumped on, that phrase. But about the supermarkets actually starting to look empty, and actually going forward a little bit more. Just before I came and set everything up, I was watching the BBC News, and the CEO of the Iceland group, Iceland the supermarket, not the place. Um, he was saying that unless they sort the app out, you know, not in his words, but the country is going to go to rat shit basically, because
well, yeah, well I've just
everybody's getting
commented
sent
on
home.
that blog post that LinkedIn post that you commented on. This lady was asking why are the shelves empty, and it's just because if lorry drivers are self-isolating, if loads of different people are self-isolating, there is going to be supply chain issues. So
Well,
we'll
we've
deal
had
with that
supply
now. But
chain issues with our bathroom that was meant to be starting on Monday, is now
it's a saga. This
because now
honestly,
it's starting on Tuesday. We've had to change the tiles because, despite them telling us 2 weeks ago that the tiles were ordered and in stock, now the tiles have disappeared and they can't get them to us in time. So we've had to choose different tiles, which we've now been promised will come in time. They've actually been great where we've bought them. Not going to give them an advert, but the guy in our local branch has actually been great. Then all of the bathroom fittings weren't necessarily coming. So, and it actually says online that don't book any contractors. And I was like, yes, I understand your policy, but as we're all working in strange times, you're trying to get stock, we're trying to book contractors. If you say something's in stock and is delivered within 5 days, you need to communicate if that's not going to happen. So
yeah.
anyway, now all the bathroom fittings are coming tomorrow. We've managed to move the lovely guy who's fitting the actual bathroom, who's doing all the work, knocking the wall down, everything. We've managed to move him to Tuesday afternoon to just give a little bit more breathing space. So fingers crossed it'll all come together. But yeah, that's just one small example of, and as you know, whilst we've been doing this house up over the last 2 years, that's practically every issue we've had.
You certainly have. You've had more issues than Vogue.
So if it's going to get worse again with the toilet rolls, if we're going to go down that I can't think of something clever to say for that, Declan. If we're going to move down that avenue again, it's going to be pretty tough, isn't it?
Yeah. So you're hoping to get the bathroom done fairly quickly once things start arriving, or is it
Well,
going to take a while?
originally it was 8 days, booked in for 8 days to because there's a wall to knock down and there's electrics and obviously then the tiles and the bathroom. So it's a big job. So originally it was booked in for 8 days. So yeah.
Right. Well, that's everyone's. Thanks for the bathroom update for everybody. I'm sure that's
Absolutely fine, not a problem.
I'm sure that's riveting content for
Follow me on
people.
Best Before Ender if you'd like Victorian house renovation stories.
Yeah. So shall we get going on to some current affairs, digital techie topics that
Yes.
people are really here for? Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go then. Right, so the first one, a fleeting topic, is that Twitter fleets has gone or
Yay!
going pointless. So
Yeah.
pointless. When I saw it, I was like, oh, it's actually, you don't very often see these social platforms, make an admission that something hasn't worked.
Yeah, they normally just sneakily remove
Yeah,
them as if they
like,
didn't
oh yeah,
exist, don't they? Instagram
let's
does
not,
that tons, and so LinkedIn
let's
used to
not
as
put
well.
let's not put a press release out. Let's just
Yeah.
let it
See if
slide
anyone
off. But
notices.
I thought it was a really strange thing for them to do in the first place. Twitter is not like um it's like it's stories that basically it was Twitter's stories functionality, wasn't it? But I don't even like they've not really took off on LinkedIn either, really, have they?
No, I mean,
Um
you try to be what do they call it, an early adopter, and think, if you jump on something quickly, then you'll be the first one there. But I wasn't into fleets. I wasn't into it on LinkedIn. I wasn't into Clubhouse. Um, I
See,
watch
Clubhouse,
TikTok, but
yeah,
I
but
don't create
at
any
least at
TikToks.
least Clubhouse was doing something different, though. This was
Yeah,
just,
just
this has been a success on Facebook and Instagram, so we're gonna have a go at
well, is it
rolling
a
our
success
version
even
out as
on?
well.
Is it a success even on Facebook?
Well, Facebook and Instagram are pretty much intertwined now,
Yeah, I
anyway,
mean, I
aren't
know
they?
they're
So,
intertwined because my stories automatically I push through to my Facebook stories, but I never look at anybody's Facebook stories, and hardly anybody looks at mine. So whereas I'll get a few hundred at a time looking at my stories on my Instagram account. So
well, stories is that's where I go to when I load up Instagram. I don't go the feed. I watch stories first.
I think that's what they're trying to do, aren't they? They're pushing
Yeah.
video and stories more and more over there, which is
Have you
fine by me
noticed?
because I love stories.
Have you noticed photo dumps have become a bit of a thing?
Photo dumps. What do you mean by that?
Like loads of people uploading a Instagram, but like a carousel of loads of what they've done in the weekend.
No, I haven't seen any of that.
Oh, loads of people are doing it. It's a real trend. Not just one or two pictures, like
How
up to
many?
10 or up to 10, I
What
think.
what they've been doing
Um,
at a particular
yeah,
event
like
or
photo
something.
dump from this weekend and just which I always is interesting because I remember hearing that, you know, what do they call them? Multiples. I can't remember what the term is when you put more than one Instagram photo on.
Is it a carousel on there? I can't remember.
Well, that's what you would call it
Yeah.
technically, but I'm not sure if
You
that's
were
what they
always
are
told they
called.
got
But
less engagement.
yeah, but everyone seems to be doing photo dumps these days.
Yeah, and
Um,
everybody's been up in arms, haven't they? Because Instagram's moving away from being a photo sharing app, and I'll be leaving it. I'm not doing videos. Then all of a sudden, everybody's doing reels. But actually, it's the reels that people watch because there's some really creative people on there, and people obviously are pushing their TikToks through onto their Instagram stories and all that, and it all becomes like a mesh, doesn't it? But
well,
where
yeah,
it
so many reels are just repurposed
and you can
TikToks.
remix a reel. Did you know that?
What does
You
that
can
mean?
remix a reel. It's basically where the screen splits in half, and the person's reel that you're sharing comes up, and then the other half is there for you to do something. Not tried it yet, but yeah, that's remixing a reel. Um,
Well, anyway, we came away from fleets there, but apparently they don't. The Twitter did it because they've got a problem with people starting a Twitter account but never posting. So it
right.
wanted to make people feel more comfortable joining in said conversation. Because I
No.
think a lot of people actually end up using Twitter as more as a news outlet, so they don't necessarily post all that much themselves.
Yeah, they just go
Um,
for info.
yeah, so it hasn't unfortunately done what they wanted to do with increasing engagement. So
Hmm.
wonder what they'll try next. But after 8 months, fleets
I think they've
are
just not
gone.
got to copy each other. It's like Instagram is now trying to become YouTube, but almost, isn't it?
Mm.
Because YouTube is still the mammoth. Um, but yeah, they
Yeah, but
all
I just think
eventually.
Instagram's following the trend
Hmm.
of shorter form content. That's why Instagram's going more like that because that is a trend.
Yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it, that they've extended the length of a reel to a minute rather than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Before you had the option of 15 and 30 seconds, now you've got the option of 30 and 60 seconds. So that's better. So you wonder how long it's going to be. And obviously then you've got IGTV, which I think, does that go up to 30 minutes or something? Can't remember. I've only ever done one. But yeah, we digress. But yeah, RIP to fleets.
Okay. Let's move on to the next topic. And it almost feels not very entrepreneurial of me to say this. But I could not give less of a shit about Elon Musk and Richard Branson or Jeff Bezos or whoever wants to go to space next, go into space. I could not care. And I don't know if it's like ill-timed in the sense that
Not being
the
very
Earth is really,
self-aware, as you said.
the Earth is really struggling with COVID. The Earth is really on fire. And jetting off to space.
It's almost like they're waving
just
out that
feels
little window, isn't it, in the spaceship, going, bye, Earth.
Well, yeah, because it'll be rich people like that end up leaving Earth.
It is. All those movies that we say, they always come true. It's always the rich people going, and then, everybody else is fighting to get on.
I just think, it doesn't bother. Space, to be honest with you, I know there's a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs to really harness some space.
Are there any opportunities for web designers up there, do you think?
I don't think so, no. But there is for probably software, but not maybe the software that we do. But there's a lot of opportunities out there for it to be capitalized on, but it's like, should it even be capitalized on? It's space, for God's sake.
I just think it's amazing that rich people like that are going sort of like at the same time that countries are doing it. Like, it just shows you, doesn't it, when you've got that much money, you can literally do anything that you want. And it's fascinating to think that Jeff started off selling shoes and now he's gone in space. It's fascinating.
The only silver lining that I can say is, like, if they go to space, they might look down on this little beautiful planet that we all call home and think, maybe I should do a bit more to help save it.
Yeah, I mean, with all their collective wealth, I think we've probably discussed this before. If not on the podcast, we've certainly discussed it around the kitchen table as a family. With all their collective wealth, it's crazy some of the stats that have been produced, isn't it? What they could achieve for some of the world's problems, but they choose not to. It seems.
It's a conflicting issue, but one that I've had to spend a lot of time with in a way, because I used to think, people just hate it because they've created wealth, they've just managed to do it, and people are but that kind of wealth is not. I don't think I got my head around fully what a billion, never mind a trillion, is. And nobody needs that kind of money. I'm sorry. And yes, people, a lot of business people do give a lot back, but nobody needs that kind.
A trillion.
When it's crazy. It's so crazy. And how these people have got richer through the pandemic.
Yeah.
But most other people in the world have got poorer. It's not right. It's not right at all. But
it's odd, isn't it? There's always winners in everything, but yeah, you are right that the rich.
But they win in every situation.
The rich do get richer, don't they?
They win in no matter
what. I wonder
what
what level of wealth it is that you have before just nothing affects you and you just keep getting richer.
It's probably when you've got a monopoly over something, so no matter what happens, people are always going to need your product.
And I guess
oil,
when we've
always going to need energy, or like Amazon. I mean, how many people were buying Amazon parcels throughout lockdowns?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we've talked about.
Are you laughing at me?
I'm laughing so hard. For the purpose for those who are listening and won't be watching the YouTube, although you should, because this is good content. Declan's just got his drag queen fan out now.
I could
to
do
cool
I
himself down.
can't really do like the.
Can't you do one of those things?
Yeah,
nearly.
Yeah.
Can you send me one in the post, please?
Yeah, of course. There's arguments that Richard Branson actually hasn't been to space either.
Okay.
His flight didn't go over something called the Kármán line, which is 100 kilometers above sea level, which is what's internationally recognized as where space begins. And he didn't actually go past that. He only reached 80.5 kilometers.
What did he do? Turn around and come back then?
They were only in zero gravity for 3 or 4 minutes each.
Months, you nearly said.
I did say months, yeah.
You did, yeah.
3 or 4 minutes each.
Okay.
It's a point.
It's 3 or 4 minutes more than the rest of us plebs have ever done.
See, I wouldn't want to go to space.
I don't know.
Mum, I'm scared of flying, never mind going to space. Although
Yeah,
I guess at that height, it doesn't even feel like height, if you get me.
What's that movie that was... Oh, that movie that we really liked that we said was Sandra Bullock in it. Sandra Bullock in it?
Oh, Gravity.
Yeah.
Gravity.
That was good, wasn't it?
What about it?
Well, I'm just saying
that it was good.
No, I'm just saying that it was really good, and that some of the the way that it was shot, and the close-ups and the action really had you sort of like on the end of your seat, on the edge of your seat, thinking, "Oh God, is that what it's really like?"
Awful.
Who was it? It was who was the male?
George Clooney.
George Clooney. That's it. How could I forget?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was something to discuss because everyone's been discussing it, but I couldn't really care less, to be honest.
Oh, you sound very like, almost as if you're going to click that fan there again, Declan.
Well, I just think the world's problems are so big at the minute and continuing to grow, and a few billionaires jetting off to space just really doesn't interest me.
Some of the things that have happened this week, and we're going to talk about one of them. Honestly, I commented on an Instagram story the other day that I feel like the world at the minute is going to ratchet.
I don't know what story you're talking about.
I commented some of the new.
But you said we're going to talk about it. What story are we talking about that shows the world's going to ratchet?
No, I'm just saying it's a culmination of things that are happening that you think, can this world get any crazier? I just feel
you're not on about the Norwegian women's handball team, are you?
I am.
How's that anywhere near global warming or whatever?
I don't mean that.
No,
so you haven't got the context.
The world's going to shit. We're going to talk about one of those stories in a bit.
I'm just trying to say that everything that is going on in the thing that really overwhelms me sometimes is social media. As much as I love it, it overwhelms me because it's that non-stop onslaught of news. I sometimes picture what I've sometimes seen it on animations or on movies or whatever, where there's all this noise going on around you, and you just feel like you want to press a pause button and just blot it out for a bit. That's what social media sometimes feels like. And a lot of the stuff that happens in the world probably always happened. But because we know about it within seconds of somebody uploading the story, it's just overwhelm.
Yeah.
Is how I feel.
So I'm going to segue. I'm going to use Elon Musk as a segue, even though he's not been to space. Elon Musk, has he?
Hasn't he?
No, it was Bezos and Branson.
He's going to go, though, isn't he?
Oh, probably. Honestly. Yeah. You're a billionaire. That's where you go now, apparently. But you actually, I'm going to tell... We might not have anything to comment on this story, but I thought it was really interesting. And especially when you said you listened to last episode and you felt like you did none of the talking. So I'm going to talk for a little bit now, if you will.
No, I said the last episode, it seemed like I did all of the talking.
Oh, you did all the talk. I did none of the talking.
Yeah, you were just going, yeah.
Well, I can't help that you're a gobshite, can I?
Thank you for calling your mother a gobshite.
I can't.
Thank you. You ask for my opinions on things, and I give it And that particular episode, I had a
We're
lot
off
to talk
again.
about.
I'm going to say a story, and there's you.
Come on then.
So, Elon Musk has said he's never seen anything quite like it, and he is referring to the current great chip shortage, not the potatoes, thankfully. While this one does sound even more scary. So there's a worldwide shortage of chips, microchips,
Okay.
and the car industry's been hit hardest of all because modern cars actually contain up to 3,000 chips just in one car these days.
Mhm.
And globally, because of that, the output of cars has dropped by 4 million, 5%. Why is it happening? There's always gluts and shortages of this industry. It can take, when the manufacturing facilities cost tens of billions to sort. If you turn, they're called fabs, which is a fabrication plant. If you turn one off, they can take 3 to 4 months to get started again.
Okay.
It can take 4 months to turn a wafer of silicone into usable chips. And there's a massive, trend for a massive expansion of this industry at the minute with green tech, cloud computing, 5G, AI, crypto, robotics. Everything's just using chips, and the pandemic has helped create the perfect storm. Firstly, because it closed down a lot of fabrication plants temporarily, but also the massive surge that we saw in electronics demand last year rose by 13%. In New York City alone, their education department bought 355,000 iPads for children. So while electronic companies have bought up electronic companies have bought up all available capacity, and car manufacturers cancelled theirs because nobody was buying cars. But yeah. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've glazed over a bit there, Dex.
Well, how does this affect us? Well, I thought this was interesting because we very rarely actually get into detail.
Oh, it's too much detail for me, son.
Well, indulge me then.
Okay.
How does this affect us? So the supply of cars for sale is set to be restricted till later this year, which obviously means that car prices will rise.
Great.
It also means that electronic trade prices will rise. So laptops, printers, HP has already raised the PC prices by 80% and printers by 20% in the last year. Prices for TVs, smartphones, and home appliances are set to increase. Governments are also worried about it. A lot of chips are made in China, so there's a whole that whole geopolitical thing about it. Chips are used in crucial components to things like cybersecurity, defense systems, renewable energy, all that kind. And it's actually been coined that chips are the new oil. They're trying to combat this. The EU are trying to, increase production here in Europe, so we don't have to rely on other countries. And America are doing the same. So how long will the
When can I interject?
I'm nearly done with this setting the scene. 2 years so it could take up. How long will the shortage last? Could take up to 2 years before production is ramped up. Many countries are examining their supply chains. Tesla is on about buying a chip plant outright, so it's got its own in-house.
Wow.
Cars and home appliances which use cheaper, older chips will take even longer. Product delays and part shortages will continue. And what I thought was really a cool fact is how chips have completely taken over the world, and laser printer circuits can do things like 12 nanometers, width lines. Transistors are thought to be the most manufactured items in world history. The number of microchips sold globally in April, just April this year, was nearly 100 billion. Are you done? What was that?
I just.
I don't know what you just did. What's just happened?
I just got hold of my microphone. I don't even know why. I think I was bored.
I thought you just muted yourself.
I think I
Oh,
was
that's so
bored.
rude. I listen to
Sorry.
you harp on about women's rights all the time.
Oh, don't
I
even
do.
go there. And
I
don't flick your
do.
fan at me again.
I do. What did you want to interject about?
No, I did find it interesting. There was just the last few seconds that I started to flag.
God,
What I don't under
you have got undiagnosed ADHD, 100%. You get so bored so easily, you.
I don't know what to say to that.
Away, what did you want to interject about?
So away the lads. What I wanted to interject with was, why do countries and governments allow themselves to get into that situation? Why are we constantly hearing, China's got the monopoly on that? We don't make enough. We need to step up
Well,
production because we haven't been making enough. Is that because China has enticed all of the countries of the world with making everything so cheap, so they've drawn us in?
it was the liberalisation of trade. I know
Oh, that's what it's called. Yeah.
countries have always traded for years, but now the world is one big global system, isn't it? And cheaper materials and labour in other countries
Because for
make that happen.
decades now, we've wanted cheap stuff, haven't we? Somehow I don't know how we've got into this position of wanting to buy cheap, cheap, cheap all the time. So what's it really interesting about that? And I was listening, yeah, and I didn't glaze over until the last 2 or 3 seconds and started fiddling with my microphone. But what is interesting is how I can lead into that with personal experience. How bizarre is this? You've
God.
always got the experience. So, as you may or may not know, we have been trying to replace some panes of double glazing throughout the house, at the back of the house. And the original provider that was going to do them kept fobbing us off. Anyway, he's finally, after your dad having a conversation with him this week, he can't get the glass. Where he gets the glass from, they're struggling to get the glass imported from wherever. So, Dad managed to get somebody else to come and take a look. And he came, true to his word, a tradesman who came on time and, didn't let us down. Had a look and he said, yeah, I've got the measurements, but I'll get back to you as soon as possible, but I'm really struggling to get the glass. So your dad goes, oh, you're not the first person to say this. What's the problem with the glass? Get this, right? Apparently the glass is made in China.
Right, yeah.
All the glass that we get, or whatever the figure is, a lot of it, yeah, is made in China. The particular sand that is used to make the glass comes from some place in China. And that's why we've got a shortage now of glass that's used in buildings, double glazed glass. So there's another example. How crazy is that? Why have we let ourselves get into a position where even the glass for building comes from China? Why?
Because we want
There
things
you go.
cheap, because we live in a
But how
late
can it be
stage.
cheap by the time it gets here? How can
Because
it
it
be
is
cheap?
still cheaper.
So
It is still cheaper.
getting it made there, them making a profit on it, and it getting shipped here, and then the people who sell it, the middlemen, whatever, everybody is still making a profit on it, even from it coming from the other side of the world.
Yep.
And we've allowed that to happen for decades now, and now we're in a position where they've got it all and we haven't got any.
Yeah. It's only going to increase as we do less trade with the EU and do more with the outside world due to leaving the European Union as well.
What, you mean it's going to get worse?
Well, we're not doing as much trade with them, but we want to do it with other countries, so things will be flying in from further afield.
So why don't we just make more of our own? Surely we used to. Surely we used to be able to make glass.
We used to do all of our own manufacturing.
We
were
leaders in the world.
It was just globalization that happened.
Why have we got
in
to
the
the
90s.
position where we can't make simple stuff ourselves.
Mm,
Crazy.
yeah.
So yeah, that led in nicely. It's just a conversation that we'd had this week.
Not sure how that leads quite into chip shortages, but I get where
No, but
you've
I'm
gone.
just talking about shortages in general. Obviously chips are really techie things, but glass is standard. We've been using it now for like several hundred years to build buildings with, and now you can't get it in our own country. It's crazy.
Okay. So let's move on to the
Move
next
on.
topic then. Over to you. Your topics.
Oh, which one's this?
Oh no, was it? Is it me still? I missed one anyway.
Which one did you
Remote
miss?
role. In a shock to nobody again. Remote roles are on the rise in the UK. But what I found interesting about this LinkedIn article was some of the sectors where it had increased. So obviously,
Okay.
let's say retail, which you think, well, how can that be remote? Obviously, there's probably people that aren't on the shop floor that could be remote.
Yeah.
But up to June 2020, the share of remote roles in the UK within the retail sector was 0.3%, whereas now it's gone up to 3.9%. So that's an 11.6 year-on-year times year-on-year increase. Same for transport and logistics. That was really low, but that's gone up to 5.6% now. It's really, it's not a shock to anybody. I mean, I saw an article about nobody's going back to the offices in New York. It's still on, even with all the people that are vaccinated. I think they're at 12% the original capacity of last year. So I guess it's
It
going to
does
take.
feel as if, even though people like you are desperate to go out clubbing, it does feel as if there isn't that rush to go back to work, which I guess the government said, didn't they? They wanted it to be a stage return back to the office. So it seems like they're getting that naturally, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think remote roles are the way forward. We've said time and time again, we operate as a remote business.
See,
And
I don't agree with you.
why?
I don't think anything is the way forward. It's just proven that there just has to be more flexibility within the marketplace.
Well, okay, so let's make the word flexible really fashionable. I know people
Like
have fought for years to get.
when we hire, we will be remote. Like we will probably offer remote because whilst I have a co-working space, I don't see us having a hub anywhere. Especially in the next maybe year to 18 months further along the line, who knows? But I just think if people want to go to the office, that's great. If they want to go 1 or 2 days a week, that's fine. But you just have to try and create a culture that allows that greater flexibility. No
Yeah.
two people work the same way, do they? So,
No, I mean me, for example. I've done lots of small work jobs today, but the big part of my job, I'm writing some content for our own website. The big part of my job I'm going to do this evening because I've done lots of little jobs, and then obviously we're recording the podcast, but it's just been too hot. So I'm going to work in the garden later on this evening when it cools down. You know,
yeah,
and really, what you'd have had to do normally was stifle your way through an 8-hour day at the office minimum, stifle your way through the traffic or, there and back. And it's just freedom and choice. So I know there's been lots of talk for many years now over a flexible working policy. So yeah, let's just make the word flexible the buzzword. I think we probably end up talking about remote flexible working practically on every podcast episode because it seems to be in the news all the time, as if it's, I guess for a lot of people, as if it's something new. It's not new, it's just more people are actually talking about it now. Lots and
mm,
lots of people wanted it and could never get it. They were always asking their employer, can I do, make my 4 days instead of 5, make my 4 days longer so I'm still doing the same. Can I come in later after I've done the school run? The aggro of trying to get your kids to school. Like, I just don't be, unless you've experienced it, I just don't think trying to get your kids to school, then trying to get into the office, and then woe betide there's something wrong with your kid on the morning. where they're not very well, and then you're like, oh, shit, what am I going to do now today? Like the inflexibility of all of that for working parents is just horrendous. And I just don't think, as I said, until you've experienced it, I don't think people realise what just a little bit of give and take, the difference that it can make. So yeah, I'm all about the word flexible. Flexibility.
Right, now this is your topic. Most
frozen
small
for me,
business
Dex,
owners
that's
are
not a good look.
middle-aged, not cool kids the media loves. As older
Did you
owners
hear what I said
retire.
there? Did you hear what I
What?
said there? You'd frozen
What?
for me. It wasn't a good look, so I never heard any of that.
Did you not?
No.
It does actually say your connection is unstable. I think we're okay.
Testing.
I think we're okay.
Well, I'm okay.
The next topic is from you. Most small business owners are middle-aged, not cool kids the media loves. As older owners retire, millions of small businesses will change hands, and that means opportunities for young entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it's interesting. And although it was on The Guardian and it was shared on LinkedIn and I got involved in the discussion, it is an American report. But I also often think these things are reflected across the world, aren't they? Definitely in the Western culture, anyway, in the Western world. And the person who was writing this particular article said, I'm 56 and I own a small business. I'm the real demographic. In fact, according to a new survey of more than 3,000 business owners, 51% of US small businesses are owned by people older than 55, even though we represent only 21% of the population. Yep, small business owners, the majority of them are middle-aged people like me. And obviously, like me as well, aren't they? So I started this business with you when I was 54. So we're 3 years in. I was just coming up to my 55th birthday. I'm now 58 and I started the business with you. You're now 27.
Don't
frighten you. But yeah, it's a lot like life in general, isn't it? There's no reason why you shouldn't start any. We've talked about this before. I think we talked about it. I listened with your dad to the previous episode the other night, and I couldn't believe how you were talking about if somebody came for a job and they were in the 50s or 60s and they came to the Digital Gene for a job and you were. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of your mouth the last episode.
No, don't put words in my mouth. It wouldn't be that I wouldn't hire them, but I would question what would they're doing. But that's not my fault. That's just what I've grown up around. So I would have to question, challenge, and then maybe think about it. But I'm sorry, if like a 60-year-old person came and wanted to, I don't know, just be
you're flicking that fan again. Every time you get a little bit of attitude, you start
why haven't you had this? What's wrong with your career? Why do you want to? That's just how I'd be.
It's got. Some people are just inquisitive, and there's not necessarily anything
but you
wrong
won't
with
hire
the career.
people with a wet. You won't hire people with a wet handshake. So you're not
come on! A wet
either.
handshake is different to wanting to change your career.
Well, I'm just trying to say you're trying
handshake.
to be all like you're trying to be all holy.
Well, obviously recruiting somebody in the pandemic, you're never going to know if they've got a wet handshake. Can you imagine?
Well, let's just move our office to a bloody nursing home or something.
Can you
imagine? Them all involved,
Can you imagine this? Can you imagine this? Right, if you recruit remotely and you've got this wet handshake policy, non-wet handshake policy, and then when you finally get to meet them and you're like, oh, so lovely to meet you finally, like that. All the wetness coming off. Apologies for anybody who's got a wet handshake, because maybe it's do you think it's like some sort of bodily dysfunction
honestly,
or
just
something?
discuss what you want to discuss.
Do you feel like on a podcast or anything these days you've got to be so politically correct, and every time that you speak about something you have to go, apologies to anybody who's got a wet handshake, by the way.
We've all got a wet handshake.
Don't take it personally.
So we've all got a wet handshake, so yeah.
I haven't, thanks. I haven't got a wet handshake.
Is there anything
But
else you
no,
wanted to say about
no,
this
I
article?
just thought it was interesting that it's not all the cool kids who were opening the microbreweries and the coffee shops. There's lots of hardworking people, and it was interesting that 75% of those small business owners admit that they've not made a plan to transition the ownership and management of their companies. And I thought,
Oh,
well,
am never getting your shares?
you never get my shares. No, I'm going to hang on to them till the bitter end. He's not having them. Oh, we're going to talk about Succession now again, aren't we? You're
Oh, that
not
finished.
fucking getting my shares.
They finished filming yesterday, so I
Oh,
think
did
it should
they?
be soon. Yeah,
Oh,
in
I can't
Italy. I
wait.
don't know what they were
So that's
filming in
it.
Italy
So
for.
I'm
But
the Brian Cox of the digital gene. What a brilliant description of myself. But no, I'm not really. I'm actually the pussy. The pussy. Oh. The pussy.
what
Oh,
did you mean to say?
I meant that. No, I meant I'm the pussy. I'm the pussy. I'm like. I should have thought of a better word to describe myself.
Oh my god!
No, I don't mean the pussy as in the
Yes,
pussy. I meant I'm the softest one. What better word should I have said?
not pussy.
Can't think of one now. Well,
Anything
no,
better?
I realised that pussy was the wrong word.
I'm the pussy.
I feel as if I need that fan, Declan. I should have gone.
I think I need this cutting out, which I didn't think I would have to cut anything out.
Go
But
back, fan, and I went. I'm the pussy. No, I didn't mean it. Well, obviously, I didn't mean it in that way. I meant I'm the softest one. You're the one who gets all of your own way. When I said I was the Brian Cox of the digital gene, what I was trying to say was I'm the pussy, like the softer one, the softer version. You're the bossy one.
Mom, just stop.
dig
Stop.
myself out of this one again.
Of this, dig yourself out of this hole.
Dig myself out of this episode. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, life would be boring if your mum used the correct words for everything, wouldn't it?
Do you want me to try and do a segue with that?
Yeah, please try and do a segue.
Are you ready?
Go on then.
Speaking of pussies, female athletes have been fined for not wearing bikinis.
Oh my God, Declan! That's the best segue ever. That is the best segue. We need to win an award for this podcast. Honestly,
I saw this floating around the ether, but I don't really understand what's happened.
So basically, right, we'll go back even further, and I can't actually remember when watching women's volleyball on TV. I don't know how it was a long time ago, because obviously it's been happening, especially in South American countries. And I actually always remember in movies where there's ever a scene where women are playing volleyball, it always seems to be in slow-mo, doesn't it? They get the close-up shot of the bikini bottom or the cleavage or whatever. And I can always remember watching and thinking, why do the women, do they want to wear? Do they want? Because obviously it originated from playing on the beach, didn't it? That's where those things came from. Handball, volleyball. It originated, I think. Is it a South American thing?
Well, I'm just reading that article now that they think that they want them to show a lot of leg, which I can't even believe I'm saying, because to attract spectators. So, and you recall when the Badminton World Federation made women play in skirts to boost the Olympic ratings. So that's what this person at the New York Times, that's the hunch that they're going for. It's the latest example of an athletic agency clinging to archaic policy for archaic policy's sake. In recent weeks, we've rehashed the Olympic Committee's anti-protest policy. Somebody from the US track and field was banned for having weed in the system, even though weed is legal in the US. Yeah.
It's pretty shoddy,
There are all
isn't
these
it?
archaic stuff, but I can't believe that they've been fined because they won't wear.
Isn't it something like $150 each or something, and it equates to like $1,500 or something?
which isn't a lot, I suppose.
It
But
isn't a lot, but it's not. It's not really about the fine. It's in sort of the monetary terms. Is the fact that they are being forced to wear something that they don't like. Why can't they be like some of those women might feel much more comfortable in those type of bikini bottoms, but there might be some women who, can you imagine if you're on your period? It must be. No, I mean, don't gasp. It must be horrendous, Declan.
well, I just didn't. Well, yeah.
Well, it
Yeah.
must be horrendous if you're on your period and you're wearing those. Like, God, like, it's just archaic and patriarchal and all that crap again. And like, wear what you want. So if there's women on that team who want to wear shorts like the men, let them wear them. Like, why? I guess what I was trying to say was it goes back to where the specifically where this sport originated. And I always think of South America, whether that's right or not, on Copacabana Beach or whatever. And yeah, I guess it is played naturally when you've got the type of attire that you wear on the beach, your bikini, your cosy, your trunks. But if it's really anything to do with men trying to say, this is how they want women to be portrayed, even in sport, it's really shit. And it's about time it changed. And that was when I said I thought the world had gone to rat shit, not specifically because of that, but it's just the stuff that's going round. You just think, what world am I in? And I've said time and time again, haven't I, about I'm 58. I can remember back in the day when I was your age. It's not that too far long ago, although it seems it to you kids, I know. But it's sad that very little really seems to have changed, no matter how we dress it up.
Oh, I think it has, Mum. I do think
I've lived it,
attitudes are
Declan.
changing.
I've lived it.
No,
so,
I know,
so,
but I think it's changing only in the last couple of years. That's why.
Well,
It's not
maybe
been
so.
like
Maybe so. It's like all this time that me going through my career and doing different jobs and experiencing different things. If it is just the last couple of years, it doesn't feel like it to me. Maybe you, as a young person, it feels like you can see some change. But over that long period of time, for me, it feels like very, very little really has progressed. And that just was the
I'll
icing on the
just show an
cake.
example. So recently, I'd not seen a single Fast and Furious film. Okay. And I watched all 8 of them before I went to see the 9th one at the cinema in the last few months. And the early ones are all like women in scantily clad, and there's like slow-mo shots of them, in the pit racing and all that kind of stuff. And it was only in probably the last one this year where that kind of stopped.
Yeah, I mean, and that's great. That's a recent film, and it's a shame that they're not as candid as that behind the scenes in Hollywood as they are trying to portray themselves, on the screen now. But great, kudos to them. And I think, isn't it some of the I never know what they are. Some of the other movies that we watch that you kids like me to watch, and you say you can't understand why sometimes I don't want to see them. I don't know whether it's
fiction.
I don't know whether it's I don't know whether it's Marvel or Thor or what are those films where the female characters on those are a lot more sort of feisty and strong and still skimpily clad, though still made to look like that in their full-on leather outfits, but characters that are a lot stronger rather than just being behind the scenes to look pretty. So I do think there's some of that, but overall it's pretty sad that things have moved so slow. I just can't get to grips as a mature woman what is so different between the differences between us, and that men have been allowed to rule the world the way they have for centuries upon centuries, since as long as we existed.
Has it moved slow though, Mum? Has it
Yes,
moved slow?
yes,
You
yes.
weren't
And I'm
allowed to
not.
have your own. You weren't allowed to have your own bank account not that long ago in history.
Yeah, but don't you think that's slow? Don't you think just before your dad and I got a mortgage, I think we were probably the last of where that was happening, that I wouldn't have been able to put my name on the mortgage, or, it would just be your dad or whatever. That only just changed just before we got a mortgage 30 odd years ago. So yeah, it is slow. I'm sorry to say, but it is slow. That's the tip of the iceberg. And as I was saying, as a mature woman looking back over my life, and I think to myself, My God, why do these problems even exist? Why do they exist? And they're so deeply rooted in all aspects of society. No matter which country in the world you're looking at, they all have these deep embedded problems about dividing men and women and making these differences between us.
Hmm.
It's just, it's just bizarre. It's just bizarre. You know,
Right. Well, I
it's
want to
like the
park it. I
popularity
want to
of
park it, Mum.
Handmaid's Tale, isn't
Mum,
it?
I
You
want to
know.
park it. I want to park it because we've been running it an hour now,
Okay,
and we want to
I can
just do
switch off. It's fine.
our last. You sound like Ebony on off New York Housewives. Um, I want to do our last topic, which when you put it on the show notes, you've missold me
Oh, have I?
because you put 8%.
Oh, it's not, is it? I'm a
And Gen
typo.
Z feel pressured to get summer body ready, and I
You
thought,
thought,
bloody
you thought,
hell. I thought, God, well, that's been a massive shift in.
you thought it. So that was clickbait for you, Dex. So, oh,
It
we'll get that
was.
on the show.
So turns out it's 78% of Gen Z
78%.
feel pressured to get summer body ready, while 26% said they're made to feel anxious about the way their bodies should, in quotes, look. Oh,
Well,
28%
I tell you
cite
what,
the
I'm just gonna say what I want to say about this, and then I'll leave it to you to see what you think of that article. So sorry that I clickbaited you, and it only said 8% because you were thinking, oh, that's a real good turnout. That people aren't as don't lack in confidence as much as they do. But like me, I love Love Island. Don't hate me for it, but I do absolutely love it. I love that they are all so gorgeous, and I look back and think, did I ever look that gorgeous? They're just amazing, and that's the reason why I watch it. And the banter and how the relationships form and how they fall off a cliff and all that type of thing. And so there's that. And then there's also the conversations, you know, that are around a lot on social media about being bikini ready, having a bikini body. You know, you've got a body, you've got a bikini, wear them. But so many people just can't put those two things together. Me included. Me included. It's very, very rare that you'll see any family photographs with me in my bathing costume. And so many women are like that. Crazy. And then I also know how you are. You're always, you know, always going to the gym. You're always saying, I'm not wearing that till I look more like this, etc., etc. So I just thought it was an interesting article to share and to get your perspective on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised it's going up. I've got body issues. And I wouldn't say it necessarily causes me anxiety in the sense that like it makes me anxious, but yeah, it's not. It doesn't. I don't know. I'm not surprised that young people younger than me, because I'm not classed as Gen Z, are not doing as well, because
So just remind me, what's
yeah,
Gen Z again? What gen are
it's
you?
under the age of 25 now, isn't it? So that's I'm a millennial, but I'm not
Oh, of
surprised with
course, yeah, yeah.
with shows like Love Island and Instagram that things like that are happening.
It does feed
Um,
it. I mean, even you know, I've followed this curvy woman on Instagram. She's a lot younger than me, but my is she curvy? Curvy is the understatement. Yeah, I think she looks amazing. I think she looks absolutely amazing. And are we going to cut Jack out of that for the purpose of the
I think
podcast?
I think one of my friends is here to drop something off, and obviously I'm still recording the podcast. But anyway, continue about this.
So yeah, and I think she looks amazing, and I'm like, oh, you know, I can't big her up enough because I know that she gets ASOS, who she works with, shared one of her posts, and apparently she got loads of trolling after that. You know, people making horrendous comments about the size that she is.
I know, but I think a lot of people. I think what you've got to see that
It's their
is
insecurities, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's their problem. It's not yours, and they're probably not sat there. People who have got that kind of perfect body, I don't think will be kind of, oh, I'm getting a full join here of everybody. Um, like it's not an issue for them.
People who've got a perfect body.
No, they're not the ones that are going to be trolling people.
Oh no, it's everybody who's got the issues
It's all
who
the
are doing
people that
it.
have
It's
got high
shame,
ups.
isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
But it's across all walks of life and all ages and all genders, because, as I said, there are very few photographs that you'll find of me where I was posing in my bather, and certainly not in a bikini. No matter how slim I was, it's just not something that I ever felt comfortable doing. And yet you see some amazing people now posing, and I'm just thinking, oh wow, good on you, because you look amazing, and why shouldn't you stand looking like that?
It's a shame that calls were so high for that eating disorder charity. Like they've gone up so much, because it's all well and good saying people are, bothered about body image, but they're also very clearly like it's also leading to quite serious problems.
Well,
If you
they're
get
saying,
me.
aren't they, that the pandemic of us being shut up has somehow made us go inwards even more about all the insecurities that we've got. And I think that's right. My
Yeah.
anxiety that I suffer with has definitely got worse whilst we've
Yeah.
been shut up, and it's got to the stage now where I'm not even that bothered about going out. Not as bothered, Freedom Day didn't really mean a lot to me. The only thing I would really like to do is to go off on holiday somewhere now with your dad and with you and your brother. Would be really nice if we'd go off somewhere and have a family holiday. But as far as anything else is concerned, I'm not interested whatsoever. And I just know all my anxieties and my own issues have got worse in lockdown. So that's not surprising, is it?
No, that's a shame though. But let's
It's
not
sad,
get
isn't
into
it?
that
It's sad,
anymore.
isn't it, that you
But
can't, and the way that sometimes when you try and think about how well your body actually works for you, what it does for you. If only we could
should
embrace
be should
that.
be a bit more thankful.
Shouldn't we
Yeah.
though? We should be more
Yeah.
thankful for the stuff that enables us to do every day, even just putting one foot in front of the other, doing the stuff that we do. You think we'd be more thankful and go, thank you, you're amazing, body.
Yeah. Okay. So let's finish there then. So thank you for listening to this episode of It's in the Genes podcast, our last before our summer break. You can follow us both on Twitter. I'm at Declan Williams _ and you are
Before end date.
we are at It's in the Genes pod on Instagram and In the Genes pod on Twitter. You can also follow our business across socials at The Digital Gene. See you in September, which not you, Mum, our listeners.
I was just going to say, you've been seeing me before. Well, I hope. Apparently, your diary is so packed socially that I'm not seeing you till September, am I, physically, in the flesh?
I don't know. But
Okay.
I wonder if we'll feel like new people, like when you used to go back after school after a 6-week break and you used to feel like a completely different person.
Oh, no, you forgot to read and write. That's what happened after the holidays, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. See if we'll be able to talk about anything interesting on the podcast after this, eh?
Yeah. Right, bye everyone.
Bye everyone, thank you.
Bye.